I'm here today to induct one of my former players. But before I start that, I'd like to congratulate Kelly and Howie on their honors as well. Coming up through Malone, St. Regis Falls yesterday, when you're driving by yourself, you can really solve a lot of problems. And a lot of things go through your head. And it was amazing that I've been gone 10 years, and you come up through this way, and it's like, a lot of members of my family. My son now is, when he was here, we left him as a sophomore in high school. My daughter was an 8th grader, now they're 24 and 22. And it just, I know how families sit there, and I was talking to Nate, Nate's 37 now, and it seems like yesterday I was coaching him, so it really does go fast. So what I tried to do, to keep things in perspective, on my wall at St. Anselm College, I have a picture of 5 players, Nate Sunday's class. There was Nate, Steve Naughton, who's in the Hall of Fame, Josh Purcell, Pete Chandler, and Sean Putnam. And they have a team picture, and underneath it says one word: thanks. And I had the hockey puck in the Plattsburgh game, Nate's in my office. And I think about it more often than not. When I look at that, I think about you guys all the time. So what I did, I emailed all your buddies and had them give me some comments about Nate. Josh Purcell's Nate. He said, Nate's respectful and humble, but with a quiet self-confidence. Strong as an ox, he had natural farm boy strength. Heavy shot, one of the quickest releases I've ever seen. Always had his head up. He was adept at making long breakout passes. He was a great teammate. So I can't, or I probably shouldn't tell you any specific stories about Nate, but he had this saying he used to say when he agreed with something that you said: "You better believe it, twisted sister." I don't know if that's true or not, Nate, but I'm sure it is. Sean Putnam. He said Nate was a force in the blue line. He was one of the strongest guys on the ice, and he's hard to get off the puck. He had one of the heaviest, hardest shots I've ever seen. He could bring the heavy stuff when needed. This was hard to do because Nate was very even-keeled. But if someone got under his skin, look out, because he was a wrecking force. He would get a little extra jump in his step and could rush up the ice and unleash a slapper or plaster someone against the boards. Nate was a great teammate, a quiet leader, and he led by example. He is now leading his adult life and a teacher and mentor in his community. Congratulations, Nate. All your teammates are very proud of you, and this is a very well-deserved honor. And last but not least, Steve Naughton, who arguably was one of the top players I've ever coached, and probably Nate's ever played with. And just a real great guy. He said Nate was a quiet guy, but always a great teammate. He would never fail to cheer you up, by busting your chops in a good way after you had a bad game or practice. I know because I know firsthand, I sat next to Nate for 2 years in the locker room, and Nate would always say to me, "Nada, you're still my All-American. Stay with it. Keep working hard, and you'll get back at it." Anything that you could do to get Nate going off his game, because he'd just laugh and shake it off. He always tried to light things up in tough situations, and it shows me his great character. Just one reason he's getting into the Hall of Fame. Besides a great teammate, Nate was an all-class hockey player. He's probably laughing at that one. He was one of the strongest skaters, tri-side I've ever played with, and he had one of the quickest, hardest releases I've ever seen. I also look back and miss the numerous times Nate would hit me with breakaway passes from behind our own net at the far blue line. Coach always wondered why I was out there, but my thinking was Nate had the puck, so we were in pretty good shape. The first time I saw Nate was at Fredonia when we were 15 years old. He was one of the top players back then, and after 4 years at Potsdam, he left as one of the best between college hockey players ever to lace him up. Nate, this is an honor well-deserved, and I'm sure all your former teammates would agree. I'm honored to have known and played 4 years of college hockey with you. You'll always be an All-American in my book. Congratulations, Nate. I'll have a Budweiser for you tonight. All the best in life. So when your own teammates, I think young men appreciate that. The last thing I'll mention before I bring Nate up here, coaching for 31 years now, and seeing guys like Dre Welch who've coached a long time, you don't really remember all the wins and losses, but you remember people. And one of the things that, as a coach, you judge kids by is how they handle adversity. Nate's teammates have brought up the words integrity, character. And the day I found out about Nate's character was we played Brockport and Geneseo on the weekend here. We played Friday night, we beat Brockport. Saturday morning we had to skate. And Darren McLean's father, one of our captains, come on the ice with us, and just like a light skate. And for some reason Nate wasn't there. I don't know if Nate remembers this or not. Nate comes walking in the rink, I go, Nate, I can't play him. Well, that's when you find out about people. What did Nate do? Was he upset he wasn't playing? Of course he was. He's an athlete. But he came in the locker room, he was supporting his teammates, and we ended up winning the game. And then, as John Horn will tell you, the Geneseo Brockport weekends, back then only 4 teams made the playoffs. I think 6 make it now, but only 4 teams made it. So we go down to Geneseo Brockport to play the weekend. We get down there Thursday night, we all stayed at RIT, and we practice Friday morning. And 10 o'clock on the bus, and I'm sitting there, and Nate wasn't late, Nate was there, and all of a sudden, about 3 or 4 guys come waltzing on the bus late. My assistant coach looks at me and goes, "What are you going to do now?" I said, "Well, it's not fair to Nate if I'm not consistent, so we didn't dress the 3 guys that were late." Do you remember what happened in the game, Nate?
But I remember the game. I don't remember the outcome, but I remember that.
Who won?
We did.
Yeah, we won 3-2. We moved Steve Naughton back to defense with our All-American. He scored 3 goals, and it was one of those things where I don't think they would have said anything, but I think it would have bothered them knowing that I wasn't consistent in that. And that's always a hard thing to do, but the way Nate handled that. One of the funny things about Nate, everybody talks about his shot. We were playing Fredonia one night, and they wouldn't forecheck. They just kept standing there. They wouldn't forecheck us. So I said, "Nate, skate as fast as you can and just take a slap shot and try and hit him." He's like, "Really?" I go, "Yeah, they're not forechecking anyway." So Nate came across, hit a kid right in the ankle. You remember that, Nate? the coach looked at me and I said, "Well, let's play here." So that was kind of a good thing. But there's always one thing, Nate, that I want you to know as a player and a coach. Looking back at it, you were an absolute joy to coach. You worked hard. You were a good player, but you were a better person than you were a player. You cared more about your teammates than you did yourself, which is hard, especially coaching today. One of the sayings that we have down in our locker room that once somebody put up reminds me of Nate Sunday, and here it is. Playing hockey does not build character, it reveals it. And Nate's one of the top 3 defensive I've ever coached in my experience in college hockey. Obviously with his job that you read in his bio, he's back home working with young kids in the community, and he's probably more proud of that than I am of the Hall of Fame. But Nate, it's my honor to introduce you to the SUNY Potsdam 2012 Sports Hall of Fame. Nate Sunday.
I really don't have a speech ready, but I'd like to thank my parents for really pushing me to go to college and helping me along the way. My family and my wife, especially. I can't thank my family enough for what they've done for me. And got a call not long ago, as it says in the file there, or paper, I can't remember where, but Ed Sini called me at my office. I think it was in January, February, I can't remember. My secretary calls me and she says, "Ed Sini's on a line for you." And I really couldn't believe it. I'm like, "Are you joking?" She's like, "No, it's Ed Sini." So I answered his phone and Ed was on the other line. He's like, "Hey, how's it going?" I said in a shocked, fierce voice, wondering why he was calling me. He says, "Made the Hall of Fame." And I didn't believe it. It took me a moment to think about it, but again, playing with those guys that I played with was really fun. It was probably the most fun I ever had playing with sports. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here, along with my parents and my wife. I can't thank them enough, and appreciate it. And I appreciate Ed Sini coaching me and putting